Hi guys, and we're back. Day 29, Body, Mind, Spirit Challenge. My name is Jim Standish, one of your co-hosts, and thanks for coming back. So yesterday, just to recap, we were talking about subatomic particles and how thoughts are things. They are literally, they have a physical form in the subatomic world, and how those things, those thought forms, can accumulate in our field, and how the accumulation of those things in our field can have an influence on how we experience life. Now, today we're going to talk about the I Ching Systems instruments and how this technology was devised to kind of get into that field and release some of those subatomic particles. And as we continue here, I am certainly going to invite you to revisit day 2 for the FDA disclosure, okay? Because we're going to talk about physical injury and how injury in your non-physical being is just as physical as a physical injury. So let's talk about that. And we talked about, in day 2, I said, hey, if I fall down and I hurt myself, I break my arm or I cut myself, I'm most certainly going to go to a doctor or a practicing MD to get fixed. So similarly, if you have been injured here, if anybody ever felt an injury to their heart, now let's say it could have been an emotional injury, it could have been a childhood experience where a parent or somebody that you respected and felt highly of, that said something really hurtful to you. You could have been in a relationship. As we're growing up, we experience probably many different relationships, and if you ever had that feeling where somebody broke your heart, and you can feel it, right? It's an actual feeling that you have, and anybody that has had that feeling knows that it is a very real and valid feeling. What I'm going to suggest to you, that it is an actual injury, no different than breaking a bone or getting a cut on your skin. That is an actual physical injury. And if you could see your neurological pathways with a neuron microscope, you would see rips and tears in the neurological pathways. So somebody punches you in the arm, you bruise. It's a physical manifestation of somebody punching you in the arm. Somebody says something really bad to you, and you feel it here, and it's an actual physical injury. And what happens in your field is that these injuries actually can accumulate and develop mass. So yesterday we had that little diagram, and we drew the stick figure, and when we showed the field. When you start to accumulate repetitive injury, we not only start to develop larger masses in that field of subatomic particles, we also begin to develop protective behavior. And it's psychologically, it's documented. They call the battered woman syndrome. It's actually a syndrome that when you are constantly bombarded or constantly injured emotionally, that you develop a defense system, you develop all these mechanisms to protect yourself. And it's reactive behavior. You're reacting and protecting yourself from future injury. And the more it happens to you, the bigger your defense system comes. And unfortunately, it can really, really have an influence on your life experience and how you interact with other people, because you've kind of built this protective wall around yourself. So the instruments themselves are designed to work in your energetic structure. So I really would invite you to go to the website, go to ichingtools.com, ICHINGTOOLS, ichingtools.com. Read a little bit more about this, because I've put a little bit of work into the website, and there's some imagery, there's a lot of stuff to read. Today in the PDFs, I'm also going to give you some stuff to read about and contemplate. And I just want to share these instruments with you. We could go, we have like weekend long seminars to understand the mechanics behind this. And there is a ton of mechanics and data behind these products, behind these instruments. I mean, I Ching Systems has been at this for over 30 years. So there are 30 years of research and development. There are over 22,000 case studies, actual case studies. It's used by doctors, healthcare professionals, practitioners in over 130 countries presently. So it's the real deal. It's even been used in Mass General Hospital in Boston to help people recover from the trauma of surgery. So one of the most simple instruments is this what's known as the perfect balance card. And I'm just going to hold that up. And if you've been to the MDM show, you've probably seen me talk about these things on the MDM show. And I will share with you, and it's in the written literature as well, that there's an awful lot more to this than meets the eye. I do trade shows, seminars. I bring these things all over the place, and I've been sharing them with people for over 30 years. And the interesting thing for me now is that with the aid of Kirlian photography and GDV technology, which I think you had either in an earlier handout or you'll get today in a handout, we can actually demonstrate photographically what this does to your system. And what it does is it brings you into balance. Now, I actually use these instruments in conjunction with a lot of the other things we've been talking about, with meditation, sometimes consulting the I Ching. We talked about consulting the I Ching, the Oracle itself. And this technology actually utilizes, if you can see, there are quite a few hexagrams on here. And a big hexagram there, right in the center. And the hexagrams have actually astrological values to them. We talked about, I think somewhere in this process, we talked about the 64 hexagrams. There are 64 bits in your computer. There are 64 strands to your DNA. There's an awful lot to this 64. And I would invite you, if you ever have the opportunity, to go to an I Ching Systems seminar and see Mary Miller. Mary is a very dear, special friend of mine. We met 30 some odd years ago. I went to a seminar and I just knew instinctively, I knew that there was something to this. And I've been, utilizing and sharing these things ever since. So pull up the handout, read a little bit more about it. Tomorrow, day 30, last day, we're going to kind of do a little bit of a wrap up. I'm going to dive a little bit deeper into the instruments and what they can do for you. But in the meantime, just pull up the PDF, do a little bit of homework, and we'll pick up right here where we left off tomorrow, day 30. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you then.